Konnichiwa Mina. Today I'm looking at SonSon II on the eternally rad PC Engine, a sequel to Capcom's classic 1984 arcade, based loosely on the themes of the classic work of Chinese literature, Journey to the West, or Sayuki, as it's known in Japanese. The story has become a staple in East Asian culture that remains a major influence even in popular culture today. Just look at Dragon Ball for a start. SonSon II is a relatively early game for the system, released on January 27, 1989, and is also coincidentally the 27th game released for the system. The story goes that your group is about to reach Tenjiku, or India, when you are accosted by a mysterious character, the Ox King or Gyumao, who kidnaps them. You play as Son Goku, out to rescue your companions across 7 stages, finding keys and secret passages, gaining power-ups, purchasing items, and using magic to ease your progress. On your journey, you'll also encounter your companions on the way who will help you out. This style of game was all the rage in Japan at the time over on the rival Famicom. Thankfully, in SonSon II by 1989, the formula had been progressively refined, resulting in its well-designed game. Quite the difference from earlier foundational games in the genre, like Nazon or Atlantis, for example. In many ways, this game will remind you a lot of the Wonder Boy series with its RPG-like aspects. I hesitate to say Metroidvania though, as progression is mostly gated through simple keys or punching through walls, rather than many different abilities, and progression is mostly linear, although there is some minor backtracking in some areas. SonSon II is approachable but not necessarily easy, as you'll have 1 life and no continues to start with. As you progress, you can purchase items to restore health, and a continue can also be purchased, although only 1 can be carried at a time. This is a game that is difficult, but not impossible, and like all good games, the more you play, the more you will improve, and the more progress you will make. Your attack is your magical staff known as a Nyoibo, which can be upgraded during the game, increasing its attack strength, which will become necessary to make headway in a game. In addition, you can gain magical attacks, which can be purchased and each use magic points on using them. These are first accessed by pausing the game and then pressing the 1 and 2 buttons simultaneously, but the timing of this can be tricky. Throughout the game, you can restore your MP by readily finding scrolls. In each stage, you will find plenty of fruit which acts as currency, but be warned, skulls can also be collected, swiping 100 coins from your total. Currency is rendered in this game as Zenny or Zenny, which is the Japanese word for coins. Some people say that this is Capcom's own word for currency, but this is just how Capcom has spelled the Japanese word in the Roman alphabet. Fruit, and therefore currency, is placed in plain view by attacking enemies, hidden in pots that you can break, and sometimes also hidden in walls that can be broken, as in Castlevania, though this ability requires a super glove that can be purchased and also sometimes found in the stage, and each glove can be used to break up to 5 chunks of wall. In addition to currency, your companions will offer to sell you an item they like, starting with Sagojo, a kappa, which is a Japanese mythological creature who will sell you a Buddha-man, a pork bun which will start a trading chain. Make the trades and eventually by stage 7, you'll receive a special defense item to help you in your quest. A little knowledge of Japanese culture will help you figure this out, though why Hakkai, a pig, wants to have a pork bun is definitely questionable. The super glove is also used to reveal secrets and necessary passages to progress the stage. Usually in the latter instance, it's fairly obvious you need to punch through the wall, so you won't be needing to strike endlessly in random places hoping to hit the right spot. One of Atlantis nor Nazor's many fiendish aspects were necessary leaps down random pits to access stages. In SonSon II, you'll need to make these leaps down a pit here and there to find a key, for example, but its design is well enough defined to make you curious enough to try, and most normal pits have lava at the bottom, which only knocks 1 health point off your life meter, so experimentation is generally encouraged. During each stage, you will encounter a boss character from Journey to the West, culminating in the encounter with the Ox King. The difficulty of these is fairly low, and their attack patterns are nothing too exciting, and using your magic lightning and time stoppers will reduce the difficulty significantly. In addition, the Kintoon, or flying cloud, that can be found during stages, can also be used in boss stages to allow you to fly. Anyway, That's enough mechanics. Let's talk about the presentation. This game is credited to NEC Avenue, but according to former Capcom composer Manami Matsumoto Negoto, it was very much a Capcom game led by company stalwart Yoshiki Okamoto. Talking of Matsumoto-san, her soundtrack is super catchy and carries the game along at a great clip, and she has the pedigree of being the composer for the first Rockman or Mega Man game. As an aside, back in the day when she got married, she left Capcom by default as married women were expected to quit their jobs at the time in Japan. Man, that sucks thinking what she could have continued to create. Anyway, complementing this is a bright pastel colour design with cute sprite design with a touch of Capcom graphical style thrown in with the bosses and larger enemy designs resembling Makai Mura or Ghosts and Goblins character design. All in all, this is a clean, good looking game putting the PC Engine's abilities to great use. One fairly significant nitpick that I have with this game is when your life meter is running low, you'll get a distracting warning sound, which is an unnecessary distraction in an otherwise good game. Next, perhaps the most important point in any game is the gameplay. As covered, in order to open up this game to a wider audience, the mechanics themselves are sound and the gameplay itself is very good. Son Goku has a good air control when jumping and moves at a fair clip, and the platforming is very tight, though on a rare occasion I have found that I fell right through the middle of a moving platform. The only real minor sticking point is that sometimes jumping onto a ledge from a standing point that requires a little leftward or rightward shift can sometimes feel a little stiff. Otherwise though, the gameplay is great and the stage designs work well. One little quirk of the gameplay is when you want to enter a door or an entranceway, rather than just momentarily pushing up, you have to hold up for about a second or so before Goku will enter. I rate the Japanese level in this game as conversational in my rating scheme. There isn't much dialogue and the language isn't that difficult and is presented entirely in hiragana script. There is no kanji in the game, but this can paradoxically make it harder to read for beginners. But the wording has some spacing which makes it easier to read overall. Some of the language refers to Journey to the West's elements, which is good to learn. Do you need to be able to read the dialogue to progress in the game? Not really, and when you discover your party members, who sometimes sell you items and upgrades, you just need to answer yes to their offer. But being able to read this story adds a little flavour, and whilst there is an English translation patch for this game, it lacks a little bit of the humour and character, such as when you encounter your first boss, Kori Daisen, or the Immortal of Tiger Power, who berates you as an idiot with a death wish, but the English translation patch merely says you can't kill me and some other blandness. Overall, you can easily play this without a lick of Japanese, but it's a reasonable game for learners of the language, as it's not going to overwhelm you with its dialogue. As for my overall rating, it's clear I have a lot of affection for this game to have bothered to pick through the random bits of information scattered around the internet for this review. It's another game that bolsters the PC Engine library with something of quality, if not necessarily being a great game. It's well worth playing and I rate it as good, or 3 stars out of 5. It's a satisfying game to beat, although in this playthrough I only got to stage 5 for the review. I think I'm a bit out of practice, but I was eager to tell you about this game for this episode. On the plus side, this isn't an overly expensive PC Engine game, so if you want a physical copy, it doesn't need to break the bank. As always, like, subscribe and all of that shit, and also check out this rad Rubbish Heap merch, available worldwide on Redbubble and Amazon. See the links below for how to purchase. I've been Saki Endo, and this has been a Rubbish Heap. Ja ne ne!